Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the next episode edition of the Birth of Stryker Prime. I'm your host, Curtis Foster, aka the True Stryker Prime Nexus. And I guess we can continue the story from here. Basically, the story is stemmed back to about, say, early 1993, 94. As a young man, I was trying to define, this is basically a part of my own dark side of the story. I was trying to find a position of diligence which I wanted for this character to become. In other words, someone who was heroic, but yet like this was more on the terms of, I guess you could say, being about himself in some ways or others. He has compassionate heart, but yet he has a way about him. He didn't know how to control his emotions at the very beginnings of his stages, which was a very true and very dangerous effect. I'd say it was about as dangerous as putting a wild dog in a meat market and thinking that he's going to protect the meat market, but yet he's going to destroy and eat everything in sight, which is a bad thing. But overall, let's get back to the point. During the time progression between my adolescent years into becoming or focusing into adulthood, the design of this character is more like he was supposed to be noble. He was supposed to feel heroic. From visions of how characters like Marvel's Iron Man, DC's Batman, that was basically his inspiration for his design. Robotics, artificial intelligence, and actually doing some detail about that. Even building a life-based computer that could be an assistant in and outside of the house, or even on a remote scale, kind of like Jarvis, but on a much more intelligent scale, where, in a sense, that everything that Stryker has is either connected from the outside world or within the outside world, as well as in his own internal home. The building process goes like so. It was first designed as an image for a comic book, but afterwards it became something more of an ideal for a program, ideal for an actual suit, something first of cloth, something with flexibility, something with a means to still be flexible, still be slightly energetic, but at the same time be well protected, well based on helping others. By the time the year 1995 had came across the pass, the design and concept of Stryker Prime was actually born. How so? Originally, it was Project Night Striker. Night Striker was designed to be a semi-martial artist, as well as a detective of a conspiracy detective of some sorts, as well as also, well, in a sense, a crime fighter, but a vigilant for both the common people as well as himself. From that aspect, the design was to be a mysterious individual with a mask. I'll start with the head design. The head design was supposed to be a vigilant individual with a mask that could actually see in infrared, night vision, X-ray if necessary, and also ultraviolet vision if in case there is anything offset in the spectrum on that level. Along with that mask, you had a communications device that was built into the faceplate of the mask, where you can actually speak to its artificial intelligence computer to say, okay, give me backup information, give me data, as also the eyes were a computer screen that you could see. For maps, it would be the right eye. For information, it would go to the left eye. Or in any case, it would actually go to both eyes. From that sense, you have to pause and not move for moments when you're reading information, because then you don't want to end up being blinded by the information and you're actually within a fight. That was actually dangerous. So whenever that case came to pass, whenever the design case came to pass, it was, okay, visualize information. What should I say? I would actually consider the artificial intelligence Nightshade. Not only into homage to the character from the animation of Cops, but as a sense of, okay, this is how my work should be done in the nighttime. So it would be Nightshade. Send me information to read, scan, or at least do a TLDR type of information scan to give me a summarization of what's going on in such a situation, say a robbery or in improper hacking or something of that nature. It would actually provide the information, but at the same time, I would say, listen, Nightshade, clear. Clear would actually mean in the sense of remove everything off screen so I can actually see a clear visual of what's right directly in front of me. From that, with that set of I Spy style goggles, I could also be able to take pictures and have them transported straight directly to my artificial intelligence device. This way, it would actually get a full scan of say a building, to circuitry, to what needs to be to almost a microscopic level. It would actually go from full range map mode all the way to microscopic mode, just in case if anything is wrong. On all those levels, I could actually be able to visualize the building, see what floor things are on, and be like, okay, I have to go directly to this floor to intercept, say, an information breach or something of that nature. Or if I have a circuit board that's actually failing, I can say, okay, microscopic vision, find out what the problem is, and then, in a sense, shunt it or cut it off. While I'm in infrared to a laser option to actually cut off the connection and stop it from actually causing any slight problems. It would also be providing an actual hacking system where I could be able to use both the eyes of the helmet, of the mask and helmet, as well as also the gauntlets of the hands, to actually hack in any system that would, in a sense, be able to infiltrate any information that's actually important, that actually could be dangerous, that actually have backdoors that are causing a lot of problems. This would be the design of things of what I would actually do with that kind of costume. The gauntlets themselves would be hacker accessible, magnetic proofing for if I'm actually scaling a wall of stone. It'd actually be able to give me a sense of a magnetic pull, so that way I can be able to climb the walls easily. Whether it's brick, glass, metal, or metal inside it, as long as it knows there's a sense of metal in it, it could actually give me a strong pulse to let me go ahead and climb, both in the hands, both in the gauntlets, as well as the boots. Yes, there will have to actually be boots designed for this thing. As far as the rest of the design of the costume, from the legs to the legs and the upper part of the torso, it would have to have a microfiber of triple layer Kevlar in order to protect itself from bullet wounds, as also have a triple or quadruple layer sheeting of an exterior alloy in order for to stop knife attacks and block knife attacks, as well as also incapacitate the attacker, in the sense of either the use of judo, jiu-jitsu, or in another sense, a slight taser shock, mostly at about maybe 500 volts. Not to say that it's going to be dangerous, but it's going to be something where it's well prepared for an actual combat situation. Again, alongside with this combat situation, we would actually have designed a setup where, if in any case Stryker Prime needs a weapon, he can call forth Nightshade and say, Nightshade, a port sword level 3. Sword level 3 would be a sword that is actually designed for strong attacks, as well as also blocking and defense, parrying and defense in a ways of where if a person strikes me with some sort of a Gatling gun or a sword of their own, some sort of sword or dagger of their own, the sword itself could actually block it and create a force shield to deflect all bullets at a single stance. Now at level 3, the force shield would actually be extremely strong to about a level 6, where it could actually take on an entire Gatling gun's full clip at least 300 meters away in distance. With that, it actually can extend kinetic energy in the sense where, while the force shield is taking the deflection of the bullets, the sword itself is actually conjuring up and absorbing the energy. So once that it's been removed from protection and used for offense, that kinetic energy, when it's coming, when the wielder, who would be myself, is actually using the sword, the attack would almost be on a level astronomical, where the kinetic energy flow would actually fly back at the person who actually sent the kinetic energy in the beginning. It'll create a minor aftershock, not something dangerous to the point where it would actually damage the environment. In a sense where, if it was to hit the ground, we are not going to create earthquakes to damage, say, a subway system or the plates of the ground, the plates of the earth itself. It doesn't want to actually go to that extremity. Once the attack is made and is used, I guess the wielder, Stryker Prime, can actually use the sword in defense to actually fight, still absorb kinetic energy to lash back. This would actually be helpful in not just the suit, not just the sword, but also the suit itself in design. With that, as far as transport is concerned, transport can actually be done in a couple of ways for Stryker Prime. Stryker Prime has a number of ways to do transport: by hover glider, which can be used from a height of at least a good 50 stories up top. A hover glider that actually can navigate directly between buildings and scenery, so that way it doesn't actually get interfered or, in a sense, crash. It would have to have a smart wide range sensory detection to know that, okay, we're approaching, say, a building itself, and it will wean itself into a direction using its propellers to actually wean itself just enough so that we can get past the building without causing the rider to have an accident. Another option would be a slight minor jetpack for short distance travel. More than likely, it would have to be designed where, if the Stryker Prime design, the first Stryker Prime design, would actually carry a cape. If the cape is not if the cape, which would have a magnetic fiber that actually is used as a glider, is not useful at that point in time, under the cape would be a small backpack that's actually attached within the costume, attached within the armor, to be used as a flight guidance system. So that way the flyer can be able to use its flight capabilities to get to those distances at a much faster rate. This is just the basic designs of the first prototypes as it was going in from 1995 into 1997. I'll conclude and continue on with this explanation and go furthermore into his story about him, his personality, and what happened to him towards the 2000s, and the aftermath of what could actually happen to him in the future and what he's planning. Well, it's my time about to sign off on this one. This is a great experience of expressing the story of my character. So until next time, be safe, be striving, be striking. This is Stryker Prime and the Birth of Stryker Prime signing off, and we're done.